Hi, I'm Annika Johnson from Al Johnson's in Sister Bay. I hope you enjoy my new video series called Door County Girl. These are stories of my life, the people and places that I love, and of course how we all survive here in northern Wisconsin. You can come back as often as you like, but don't forget to subscribe to Al's YouTube channel. I'll be posting lots of really cool new videos. So let's go! Welcome to another episode of Door County Girl. Today we are at a good friend of mine's studio. It's just down the road from my house, Clay Bay Pottery, and this is Jeanne Aurelius. So we are lucky enough to come into where she actually works, because I don't think I've ever been in here before, but I've been in your store. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy to walk in here where all the magic happens.
Yeah, it is.
It's exciting.
Magical.
I love Jeanne because right away I'm like, oh, she's my kind of girl. Because every time I find something, I just stick it on the wall. I'm like, oh, I found a horseshoe. I'm going to stick it up there. I found a piece of beach glass. I'm going to stick it up there, you know. Okay, so Jeanne, I start out with everybody telling kind of like their life story in a nutshell. Like how in the world did you get to Door County? What was your life like? So it led up to where you became who you are today.
In a nutshell.
Kind of in a nutshell, you know, it's just like how you got to Door County.
We used to sail up here when we were kids. And my dad and mom had a shop in Door County called the Halvehus. And he started a fair. What
was it called? It was called
the Halvehus. It was right across from Lampert's.
Oh, from Lampert's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now it's Casperson's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Casperson's the funeral home?
Yeah, the new funeral home area. Yeah, that's where my dad and mom had a shop.
Oh, up at the new Lampert's, not the old Lampert's. Okay, I know where you mean now. Up on the top of the hill. Okay, up on the top of the hill of Sister Bay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I remember. I don't think I remember that store. Do I remember that?
Probably not. Who knows? But it had nice gifts. And they had a fair. The guy who owned Fine Line or Town Line Art Fair gave it to my dad. So Dad had the Town Line Art Fair, and we were there coming from Iowa. And Mary Ellen Sislak was there.
Mary Ellen Sislak owns Turtle Ridge Gallery, a leather maker. She's amazing.
Yeah. And so they kept wanting us. They had this fair so that maybe we would move up here. And we just were like, oh no, we don't want to be shopkeepers. But then once we got up here and we were at the fair, it was snowing, blizzard in October. But the next day it was as sunny and beautiful as it is today. And we just thought, maybe we should look for a place. So we told my dad, you know, if you ever find a place, 2 houses on the road, let us know. And, you know, maybe we could move up here. And so I went to visit my grandmother in Milwaukee. And that Saturday we got home and my dad said, I found what you want. But you have to come right now. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we jumped in the car. We had asked David's mom and dad, if we ever found a place up here, would you lend us the money for a down payment? Because we had no money.
Starving artists.
Yeah, right. And they said, sure. So the down payment was $5,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we came up here and saw this place in the dark, and Wink Larson owned it. And he owned.
I knew that he owned across the street.
Yeah, he owned across the street. He owned the barns. He owned everything. Oh. But he needed money. So he was first going to just sell this, and then my dad said, well, what about this place too? And he said, I'll give it to you, you know, both of you. And so he told the price, and Dad said, can you write that down for me? Because I'll tell my kids. So he wrote it down on a check stub. So his name was there. And so Dad called, and so we came and saw this place in the dark. And, there were migrant workers upstairs. There were people living here. But we just looked at it. We never looked to see if the storm windows were good, the furnace, nothing.
Who cares about anything?
Yeah,
You just liked
we just
it?
said, we'll take it.
Oh,
And so it took a while to get it.
yeah.
Till February of that year,
Okay.
from October. But then we moved up here in lock, stock, and barrel in 1976 and opened our doors, and there we were. Phyllis Ingerson would have people, she would drop off a book, let's say, and then somebody would have to pick the book up. So people were, they'd say, well, she'd say, well, I've got the book that I borrowed, but it's at Clay Bay Pottery. So people would stop to get people interested in coming here.
And
Because
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we would just literally sit and look out the window with our sign up going, oh, I hope somebody comes.
Okay, and now I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because that's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you and David meet?
We met at Luther College.
Okay.
He came to Luther because they had such a good pottery department. And I came there. People would say, well, how did you get to Luther? And I'd say, well, my mom was there, and my two sisters. So my parents said, you have to come to Luther, at least go to Luther for 1 year at least.
It's a beautiful area.
It is, yeah.
It's by Decorah, right?
Yeah, it is in
gorgeous.
Decorah, yeah. So we, so I met David freshman year, and we had our first date freshman year, and by the next sophomore year, after I finished sophomore year, we got married.
Oh, and you were both studying to be potters?
Yeah, I studied art education. So I wanted to be an art teacher, either that or a grade school teacher. But then it was like people were getting this bug of wanting to be potters, like Larry Thorson, he was a political science major.
And when he says Larry Thorson, she means
Thor
from
Gills Rock
Stoneware down in Ellison Bay.
Yeah. So, and Peter Hagelin, who we sell his pottery, he was a chemistry major. But there was something about, maybe it was the years, but David had always wanted to be a potter. And his parents always encouraged him. And he went to Canada and studied and went to the University of Minnesota. But then our friend Peter Deneen said, told David, if you want to take pottery, and there's this woman, Marguerite Wildenhain, and if you go to Luther, then you'll be able to probably get into her school in California. So David, just came right. He was a junior at Minnesota, and came down to Luther and just jumped right in, and by 1972, he was going to Pond Farm. That was the name of the California school. So he went out there that year, and you
were already dating, though.
Yeah, we were married now.
Oh, did you go with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
As my dad said, you just want to go to California, and I was like, yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Right. But I do love him. Yeah. So we went, and then we both went to Pond Farm. He went there 4 more times, and I went there 4 times. So, yeah. So we would, once we moved up here, we would hire somebody to run our shop. So we'd try to stockpile all these pots, and then go to California for 6 or 8 weeks.
Awesome.
And come back
Best
here.
of both worlds.
Yeah. So it was fun, and we learned a lot. So she was an amazing woman from the Bauhaus in Germany. Marguerite Wildenhain was her name, and
you just went over to Germany.
Yes,
with some of the students you went to school with.
Yes, yeah.
And you did a little trip over there because Jeannie walks on my road with her dog because we can leave our dogs off a leash there. And then we were walking to the car, and she just got back from Germany, and I asked her how her trip was. And this is kind of neat that you
it
got
was
to go
fantastic.
over and see one of your. She's passed away, but she has a big following. And doesn't she have a
Mhm.
museum or a school?
Well, the Bauhaus in Germany, there's several museums, and she's in a lot of them. And so are the students that went to the Bauhaus. And the Bauhaus University is still going on. It has tapestry and architecture. So we had tours of these places. And then we went to Marguerite's pottery, where she learned how to do pottery. And it was just amazing. So we followed her where she was and where her classes, where she taught, where she lived. And yeah, it was amazing.
And you said that the people in Germany were kind of impressed that you came all that way just to come and see her.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because they know everything about her before the 1940, whatever it was, when she moved to San Francisco and then Guerneville, California. But they didn't know, and we didn't really know that much about, we knew vaguely about her life in Germany. But there's the man, Brent Johnson, who led the tour. He and our teacher, Dean Schwartz, made this huge book. And they went over first, like 20 or 15 or 20 years ago, to say they wanted to make this book about Marguerite. And all these scholars were like, oh, whatever, yeah, okay. And then they brought this book. So it was just great to go there and be in Germany.
Yes.
My mom's
Oh my
had
gosh.
full German, and we were right near the town where my grandma lived. So it was so great.
So
yeah.
it's the perfect trip.
And Lauren, my daughter, came too.
Oh, I didn't know she went.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was my partner in crime. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you had gotten married, you were going back and forth, then all of a sudden you had kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do any of your kids do artwork, pottery?
Yeah. Lauren will come, let's say she needs a wedding present, and say, Mom, will you make me a platter? And then she'll decorate it.
Sure.
She's done that a couple times. And Martha is learning pottery. She works at MSCR in Madison. So she hires art teachers and teachers for the Madison Park and Rec department. And she does a lot of beautiful paper cuts.
Oh, I've seen them. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, she's really good. And her husband, she met, I think, at the Bayside.
I remember all this.
Yeah.
Martha worked at Al's with us.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, we're all like, oh my God.
Right.
She's so excited when she met him. And,
Yeah, she was
yeah.
like, I just met somebody and I think I'm in love. And we're like, oh my gosh. And she said, and he wants to be a potter. And we're like, no.
You're like, and your husband's like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So eventually we asked Adam if he would be willing, interested in working for us, because he was working at Stone's Throw as a vintner there, and he was quite good there. But he was so happy to work here.
Oh, yeah. He could learn from you both.
Yeah. So he worked here, I think, 7 years. One thing that we did have here was an apprentice program. Once we got back from Pond Farm or here, we would hire Luther students or college students to come. They lived upstairs, and they would learn from us and, help run the shop and maybe make pots too if they were potters. And so we had this apprentice program, paid apprentice program, for many years. And then our friend, now she's our friend, Abigail Olson, she came and worked for us for 11 years. So we kind of stopped that because she was, our employee with Adam for 7 years. So that was great. And now we have Chris, who makes the goats.
Yeah, there's some cool, you'll see them on this video probably, but there's some cool goat bowls back there.
Yeah.
Little dishes and goats.
Yeah. So, yes, and she's worked here for 3 years. She's
wow.
a retired art teacher. So we're pretty set with our employees, which is nice.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay, so do you and David have different styles?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of your things, like the ladies I love. That's definitely you.
Yeah.
Now, what would be David's style?
Like back here, he's much more like geometric, more abstract. Much I don't want to say, but more artistic in a way, or abstract. I mean, he's just phenomenal. I think he was phenomenal, and really creative. Like he threw a bowl, and then turned it into
I know, and being abstract like that, but still being a bird.
Yeah,
just
he just had a great sense of abstract.
And then this is David's?
Yeah.
And this is David's?
Yeah.
And then this too?
Yeah.
See, now I would almost think this would be yours, but it's not as...
Yeah, but see how abstract that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can do things
see,
like that.
To me, it looks like a sailboat.
Oh, sure.
But I don't know. It could be anything to anyone, but that to me looks like a sailboat.
Yeah. But so we are definitely influenced by
so sort
nature.
That side of nature. I can see nature in his, like I can see the birds and the fish kind of, and whatever,
and the poplar trees.
Yes. And then your side of the table is over here. I can always tell yours. I have the coolest mug. She gave me a really cool mug when my son had cancer.
Oh, yeah.
You gave me a really cool one, and Bo got one too.
Yeah.
I always drank out of those.
Oh, that's nice.
Anyways, Jeanne has more...
the Ephraim on Sunday.
Plants, trees, like a little bit more whimsical. I think yours are. That's what I would be more like, a little more whimsical.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of goofy like. Right. But yours are beautiful. So this one I was admiring earlier. And this one, I wasn't sure until she said it, but if anyone knows where Tannenbaum is, if you turn up that little road there, it's the White House, which would be the old Kessel House.
Yeah. And that woman... hung her laundry so meticulously.
Isn't that Hans Christian's ex-wife?
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe she and him lived there for a long time. They had a little studio there. I can't think of her name. And she's tall and blonde.
Yeah. So I was inspired by that. I made a big platter that's in the studio, showroom. And that's for a show called Poetic and Playful. And I made that platter.
This is gorgeous.
Thank you.
This is very pretty. So one time, speaking of wedding gifts, one time I came into Gills Rock Stoneware, not here, but I needed a quick wedding gift for someone. And I bought this big, beautiful bowl and gave it to Renee Reinhardt, Jerry Reinhardt's daughter, for her wedding. And she still always comments on it to this day. So like a piece of pottery to someone means a lot if they know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Like if I would have come in here and I, would buy, I was trying to see something that would remind me of them,
Sure.
But this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's got the forget-me-nots, the ferns, the trilliums.
Yep. Yeah. So it's
what are you most famous for, though? Like what do people always say if they saw something and they'd say, oh, that's Jeanne's?
Oh, probably the ladies.
Because the ladies used to be up on the Shoreline
that's right.
So the Shoreline restaurant.
The Shoreline ladies. Mary and Mike Mead.
Yeah, they were on each table and they were a little lantern. They put a little tea light in there, wasn't it?
They had flowers. Yeah, Mary put fresh flowers.
Those are the ladies up there.
Yeah. And then and the Ephraim on Sunday too, the sailboat scene.
Yes. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I can't see it, but
there's one there.
Yeah.
There. Yep.
Yeah.
And I like this one too. This is really pretty. It'd be a beautiful vase.
Oh yeah.
This together.
And what's funny is my teacher, Marguerite, would say, "You can't put God and all the world on an ashtray."
So why not? She was like, I'm going to.
Right. So how about a bowl?
That's awesome. You put so much detail. You even have little people sailing.
Oh yeah, I've started putting people.
I always wondered how you keep your I don't even know, because I don't know anything about pottery, but how do you keep it so the colors don't run into each other?
Oh yeah, you've got to be careful because see how this starts to run?
Yeah.
But
that looks cool.
I kind of mop it with water.
Okay.
Right where the village is. I've realized that's the key to keeping it from, because otherwise it would blend in like that. Because I don't spray my glaze, I just take it upside down and just pour it around. So sometimes, like right here, it's thicker. So you gotta.
I love your colors, the
Thank
blues
you.
and everything too. I
Yeah.
think they're so nice.
We used to laugh because people would be like, "Why is everything blue and green?" And we'd say, look outside."
Yeah, it's the sky,
Right.
and the water and
Right.
the earth.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we
Just
like.
Look outside and
Yeah.
you'll see a lot.
Which I love.
But I guess I'm not really a brown person anyway, so,
Okay, so I don't know if you want to talk about going on in the future. So you kind of had your life, you have the 2 daughters, and then they are grown, they both
Yeah.
are on their own,
Mhm.
and then you and Dave are doing your thing, and then David gets
David got Parkinson's 10 years ago.
10 years ago, and that's
Mhm.
hard for someone that wants to just use his
Yeah.
hands and everything.
Yeah, he did pretty well for a long time.
Yeah.
But, stacking the kiln, throwing, but eventually, probably 5 years ago or more, he just couldn't throw and taught me how to stack the kiln and do everything because he just couldn't do it.
I just feel like that would be so hard.
Yeah.
If you love something so much and you just can't
know.
do it.
Yeah, it was really hard on him.
Yeah.
But then he was amazing because he never really complained, I don't think. Luckily, he still could read and he loved books. So he just sort of flipped into just reading with Taylor by his side all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Taylor is their dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a great thing.
Yeah.
So he loved the library or Barnes and Noble, and we just go buy books. I've got stacks of books.
Oh my God. Him and Rolf
Mysteries.
could be
Oh,
partners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolf will sit in an aisle in a Barnes and Noble for hours with a cup of coffee.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh
cool.
my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
he came in a couple times to the coffee table at Al's, which we
Oh,
all
he
were happy he
loved.
would come, but I just felt so bad that he couldn't chit chat with us and
Yeah.
tell us his great stories too, because here's a
Right.
new person. We're all just like, oh my gosh, there's a new person at our table. I want to ask
Right.
him a million questions. you know.
Yeah.
But I was just glad that he was there.
Yeah, he loved that.
All that chitter chatter and
Yeah.
bang bang talk.
Yeah.
So-
And Rolf was the one that just kept saying, tell David he's
Yeah.
invited to come. And
a lot of
you
stuff
know,
is
just
talked
go to
about
the-
at that goofy
yeah,
table.
right.
Yeah.
And a few times Don Bumpus would come and pick him up,
Yep.
and that was really
yeah,
nice
Don's
too.
the king, Tom and Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm going to talk about now that your husband is no longer with us, which
Mhm.
is sad. It's been
Yeah.
almost a year, not
Yeah,
even.
and a year in July.
A year in July.
22nd.
Do you feel any different here? Did it take you a while to get back into things again? Because you guys have been together for such a long time.
Yeah.
It's so hard to kind of find
Yeah, it's hard.
get your groove.
Luckily, I've got Chris here, and Mike Fordney helps out, and Mary Beth Mead, because there's so much to do on the Ponderosa,
Yeah,
But and just asking questions,
yeah.
like, how do I turn the water on? At the house.
Yeah.
Or David would say, did you check the fuel oil? Are we out of fuel oil? Or just
yeah.
stuff like that, which you've lived on your own and you know what it's like.
Yeah.
And so and that's what I kept saying
But
to
I've
myself.
also seen where people live with someone for so long that they don't do half the stuff that the other person does, whether it's
Right.
the husband or the wife. But when my dad died, my mom never paid the bills.
Oh,
my
yeah.
mom never paid attention to anything when
Yeah.
it came to running
Right.
the show.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about it, but she didn't know how to do any of that,
Yeah.
which I thought, wow.
Yeah. Luckily, I slowly
But-
took all that over
Yeah.
once the kids were grown. I mean, even just in the last 10 years, I started paying the bills. But it's funny, David used to light a candle and pay the bills. And just grateful that I can pay the bills.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a neat thing that he did that.
Well, there's one thing that I remember. I was in Gibraltar, but we never did cool stuff like you guys did with David. And I know there's one picture over here. I'm sure Bill will show it in a minute, but there's all these beautiful murals that they have up at Gibraltar. Tell us a little bit about that and how that started, because that's really cool because you've got the kids involved.
Yeah, we started in 1994. Our friend Sonia Juffer called to say, I want to make a mural, but I need your help, because her husband was the principal and she didn't want to do it on her own. She needed help. So I said, well, how many kids are there? And she said, 650 children. That was
just a couple.
Yeah, Lake Bluff School in Shorewood, Wisconsin. So we decided, well, David said, I got to come and help you too. So that was the biggest mural and our first mural. And we had no idea what we were getting into.
Now, which school? That was for Gibraltar.
No, that was down in Shorewood.
Shorewood.
Yeah,
so it's the biggest one still to this day.
Yeah.
So Shorewood High School.
Shorewood Grade School.
Grade School.
650 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So from then on, then we did 2 in Sturgeon Bay, I think, and then the Peace Mural up at Gibraltar.
Love that one. I have a print of that.
Oh, yeah. And then we did Sevastopol too, the Four Seasons. And then...
and the kids were all involved.
Menominee Falls, yeah. Yeah, so we would go into a school and brainstorm whatever the theme was. You know, what do you think of the Four Seasons? Or what do you think of when you hear the word peace? What do you see in your mind's eye? And so kids would just start drawing, and we'd have these, what we call draw-a-thons, and they'd last hopefully for a day, but sometimes it was just a half a day. And they just start drawing and drawing and drawing. And then we would go through their work and just start picking out things that sort of fit the bill. Yeah. And then enlarge them. And eventually, we've made 21 murals and three church murals. But eventually, we would have a team of kids that would help us too pick out the drawings. And so that was great. Yeah. And then they'd help enlarge them.
In my head right now, I'm envisioning you and Dave when you were younger. You would be all over that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's might be some little potters in there in the future.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that.
Well, and what was neat, too, is we'd go into the school, and a lot of times the kilns were bad, or, the people might not know the art teacher might not know how to fire. So that was something that we built into the residency. And we got quite a few Wisconsin Arts Board residencies, or, money from them. And the PTA would sponsor them.
Sure.
But so we'd say you have to have a good kiln, and, with a shut off and everything. So that was built into the money, the cost.
Okay.
And so David would teach them how to fire the kiln. And so everything was upgraded. So we were improving their pottery department besides firing the kiln. And I mean, firing the mural, because we knew we needed to have a good mural.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. But so the art teacher would fire it, and we would come back after it was bisque fired and then glaze the whole thing. And when we would enlarge and draw all the tiles every student had a tile, but the parents would come in and help paint the tiles. So generally, the children didn't color the tiles.
Okay.
Because it was usually after school or, on the side.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody wanted to look at all the murals, is there a way to look at them all? Like, is there a
Sure.
booklet or a
No, I wish I
website,
could.
or is
Yeah. Yeah, there's I need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the Pulse did a whole story on us.
I remember
And
that.
and it has a lot of the murals. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one thing that David and I wanted to do, but we
There's a
didn't
little
do.
mini book of all
Yeah.
the murals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just going from mural to mural would be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would buy the book.
Yeah.
I like those
Oh.
little books where if you have, where they're just
Yeah.
more just the pictures and,
Mhm. Yeah, it was really fun. And the stories were amazing for
Yeah.
each mural. You could just, remember so-and-so, they didn't want to
Yeah.
draw, and then they did a limousine with, with a guy looking under the hood, just all these little
Yeah.
stories that came
Everybody's
out.
got a different vision.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to jump to another topic.
Okay.
What are your hours?
Oh, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 10 to 5.
10 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about, like, when your people come in your store, is it people that are actually lovers of art? Or are they just curious? Or what? I always wonder how come people would stop besides loving pottery, or loved art.
Well, I think the nice thing about, it's hard being this far away from the demanding crowd, but it's good because people stop here because they want pottery, or they want to,
and they know.
Yeah,
they've been here before,
right?
And they've heard about it, and they want pottery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it would be really hard to be in busy area like Fish Creek where people are just roaming in and out and in and out.
Yeah, because they don't really want to. They're just
there.
They just want to see what's there.
Yeah.
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 But this is actually a destination.
It's a destination. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I'm closed so that I can, number one, work because I'm all by myself or with Chris, or
and that's so funny because hence David's dad, or was it David's dad or your dad that you said found this property?
My dad.
Hence, it goes all the way back to your dad going, I found the perfect spot.
Right.
Like, how would he know?
I know. Yeah. And Don Bumpus did all the remodeling in here. And then Jeff Ward and Phil Gropner added this whole wing. So that's where we glaze and everything.
So you have the pottery where you do all your work, and then you have your showroom next door.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where people don't come in here.
No, we used to have demonstrations on Thursdays. And, sometimes we think, oh, maybe we should do that again. But it kind of dwindled out. People were more into, like, can I do it myself, like hands-on? Yeah. So it was like, no, not today.
Yeah. No, sorry.
Right. We're
this
just
is
here.
The show ghost.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
right.
Nope.
So we just, if people want to come in, because they love to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
But we don't advertise demonstrations 1 to 3 every Thursday.
Right.
It's just too much, especially with just
I
me.
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys are busy too. So.
Yeah.
So what would be, if somebody came into your store, what is probably the number one item that they buy the most of?
Probably mugs.
Mugs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mugs or ladies. We do carry other people's pottery besides us, who we went to Pond Farm with.
Sure.
So Mary Deneen, Martha Winter, Peter Deneen, Peter Hagland, and Christine Landerman, who's from De Pere, and then Chris from that lives up here. So we have other potters besides us. So everybody kind of has a good following too, because we've had them for many years.
Yeah.
So
and that's awesome, because then people can come in and check out other things too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a website?
Yes. claybaypottery.com.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can people buy things that don't live here? Or do they have to come here and buy things? Can they order?
Thankfully, you can buy things by calling, and I could take pictures of all the bowls or all the ladies.
Like they're interested in bowls, you take a couple pictures.
Yeah.
They tell you kind of what they're looking for, and you kind of just know.
Yeah. Because I don't have time to do my website.
Yeah, you should have one.
I have a website, but I don't want to.
You should get your daughters on that.
No, I don't want
Is it
to.
too much?
I mean, at this age, I want to make, I
You
want
gotta ship it and make sure
Yeah.
it doesn't break. And
Right.
I know.
And you have to make multiples of the same thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
do enough of that.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a little more, I don't want to say artistic, but just have fun
Yeah.
after 49 years.
Like you don't want to make 30 mugs that are the same. You want to make 30 mugs that are all different.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10 mugs.
Yeah.
But then go on to 10 other different ones.
Yeah.
But not, this is only what I do.
Yeah.
Because we put a lot of time into each
Oh my
one.
gosh, I can't even imagine.
So
I look at them and going, it takes a long time to make one of these.
Yeah.
And then I walk around in here, and then you've got all the ones that are like up there that have to get decorated yet, and,
Right.
and put in the your kiln and painted. And
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything's thrown on the wheel and then dried, and then I draw the design, and then either I help paint them, or Chris or Mike or Mary Beth knows what colors to paint, and so we can just keep things moving along.
That's great.
And then it's dried, and then bisque fired, and then glazed. So there's a long process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but it's rewarding.
It is.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
so
it.
rewarding. I think that
Yeah.
people love it so much, and they will come here just specifically for your things.
Oh, yes. And
so now do people come in a little bit more looking for your husband's items?
Sometimes, yeah, but there's not much that's there.
Right.
I mean, everything that he's made, generally speaking, isn't for sale. I mean, there's just a few things that are nothing. I think there. Yeah, there's.
Do you want to keep those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't blame you.
For
My
the
mom has a lot of
family.
stuff that she writes, not for sale.
Right.
Not for sale.
Yeah. So it's a little frustrating for people, but
Yeah.
yeah.
They can enjoy it though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what would you say to someone who is thinking about becoming a potter in this day and age? Do you think that it's something that you would think people like if somebody young came to you and said, I really want to do what you do?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be probably happy to hear that, but what would you say to them? Like, what would make them successful? Like, if you thought you and David are going to say,
I say stick to it and, have hours and keep working hard, and get your name out there, and, make nice pots, and people will come. But it's not easy.
no?
I mean, I remember sitting on a swing with Martha, or, one of the girls, just swinging, going, what am I going to do? Like David always thought, well, maybe I could be a mailman, or, maybe I could
Like
do
if I wasn't
this.
doing this.
Right.
Like I got to start waitressing
Right.
or
Yeah,
something.
right.
Or,
Yeah. But so it's not for everybody, but if you can do it, it's wonderful.
And it can be your mainstay.
Yeah.
Because I'd hate
And
it
up
if you'd have
here-
to work so hard like this and then have to go wait tables all night somewhere
Oh,
at
yeah,
5 o'clock
no.
after being,
No.
Mm-mm. So that's a lot of young people that do that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, I worked at the cooking school one night a week, and up at the Shoreline one night a week over the years. And, that was fun, just to have somebody else be the boss instead of me.
Yeah.
And that's just fun.
Yeah.
But, and learning something. But, I just think I love my work, and people say, well, are you going to keep going? And it's like, why not?
What else are you
I
gonna
love
do?
what I do. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because this is what I do.
Right. What would I do? Just sit and read? Or
And then one day that whole bunch of kids will come here after you are made your legacy, and they're going to come and see Jeanne Aurelius's pot.
yeah, I
Things
mean,
like that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love doing it, and so do the potters that we still carry. So until I can't physically do it, I'm just going to keep going. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, we could talk all day, but we have to cut this short right now. It was a good one. I love this because I've never actually been in your pottery studio before. But if you should come and see their beautiful gallery, because they do have some unbelievably gorgeous pieces. If If you're looking
Thank
for
you.
wedding gifts or just for yourself, it's just something you can collect. That's just beautiful. I'm going to leave you with this. One time I came home and there was a little tidy gift at my doorstep.
Oh, yeah.
This is so awesome. I'm honored that you even thought of to do that, because I know how busy you are and everything. She made a small tile, and it's got my house, and it's got her dog and my dog like nose to nose on a tile. And she put cedar branches on it and tied it up and just set it on my doorstep. I mean, I have that by kitchen window. It's the first thing I look at every morning.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I drink out of my mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I traded Rolf for flour
Oh,
during
yeah,
the
Rolf has a
pandemic.
mug,
Yeah.
because I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, where'd you get a mug?
Yeah. Well, I gave it to him as a gift because I went on Facebook and said, does anybody have flour or yeast?
Oh,
during the pandemic.
He gave you some, yeah.
So
okay,
he
yeah.
secretly said, I have some, but don't tell anybody. Meet me at the front door of Al's. And so then he had a nice thing of flour and yeast. And,
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
I brought him a mug. Yeah.
Well, Jeannie, I'll
Thank
see you
you.
walking on the road.
All right. Thank
I love
you.
you.
I
I
love
love
you
your
too.
work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's always a joy to see you.
And
Yeah.
everybody should come and check out Clay Bay Pottery. It's really a treat. So
Thank you.
bye
Thank
for
you.
now, everyone.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe at the bottom of the screen, and you will meet more people like Jeannie that work and play in Door County.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Door County Girl. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.